Welcome to the Cycling Demystified 12 Days of Bike Fitting. If this is your first time here, I'm your host, Wei, lead bike fitter of Foundation Bike Fit, and I'll be joined by my fellow fitter Matt and our in-house mechanic Ev from Frequency Cycle Works. 2024 has been an amazing year for the podcast, and as we near the end of the year, we wanted to create a little something extra to say thanks to all of you for listening, for your feedback and for all of your support. So what we've done is asked bike fitters from around the world and friends of the podcast to contribute an actionable bike fit tip to help you find even more comfort, efficiency and performance in 2025. Each day in the lead up till Christmas, we will play one tip and then the team and I will explore each tip in a bit more detail so you can get the most from all these nuggets of gold. And we're on to day 8 with Bryan McCullough from The Bike, The Body.
Hey guys, it's Bryan here from The Bike, The Body, and my bike fit tip for everybody for the 12 bike fit tips of Christmas is to check your equipment. More specifically, check your cleats in this case. Cleats can get heavily worn over their life cycle, and there is a point at which they no longer serve their purpose adequately and can start to increase the risk of developing foot problems, knee problems, and other associated issues on the bike. So if you think you've been developing any of these niggles, don't waste any time to check your cleats. What are you looking for? Well, if you run Shimano pedals and cleats, then if you're missing any of those yellow or blue bumpers, then that's a pretty good sign that there's some moderate to heavy wear going on, and you may well have started to angle off or reduce the stability of the platform of the cleat. The same goes for Look Keo pedals. If you've lost a lot of those rubber bumpers, you're probably starting to wear that cleat quite heavily. So don't delay, mark up your cleat position on your shoes with a Sharpie pen or similar if you're happy with your cleat position, and take the old cleats off and pop some new ones on there. Your feet and knees will thank you. So that's my little bike fit tip for Christmas. So I wish you all safe and happy riding over the festive period. Goodbye.
A lot of tips about feet.
Yes, because you're getting a bunch of bike fitters on the
Yeah,
podcast.
it's true, yeah.
You know, all the good fitters know that
feet's where it's at.
Eight out of 10 bike fitters agree.
Yeah.
We're all obsessed with feet.
We know who the other two are.
Well,
Yeah,
we're obsessed with feet because it's the foundation of your bike fit.
Exactly.
Keep saying foundation, that's why I called it that.
Yeah, that is genuinely why I call it that.
Yeah.
It's not daft, this one.
Clever boy. So, it's happened to me many times. I start to get a bit of knee pain or some weird goings on. And then the last thing you bother to check is underneath your shoes, and you kind of go, wow, those are a bit long in the tooth. You change them, and then you get more knee pain because you realise you've been riding too low, and now you're riding too high.
Yeah. Well, how do we tell if we need to change our cleats apart from like kind of getting pain and things like that? Are there any?
You mean in terms of ailments that you might have? I think mostly it's just look at them.
Well, I think, if you're looking at, if you're talking about the actual equipment itself, if you look at, the obvious, like Bryan said, the bumpers are the most obvious one. But the kind of the lip at the back of the cleat and the lip at the front of the cleat are a good giveaway as well. So if you look at a brand new cleat, it's a very sharp, defined step, like a ski binding, where you kind of click into the pedal. If that's starting to wear and become kind of rounded and sort of eroded, if you like,
maybe just
angled
angled
way,
sometimes,
or just angled, or it's kind of off to one, like the angle is like off to one side, whatever, that can be a good giveaway to kind of maybe change your cleats. Also, if you feel like you've got a bit more float than you had before in the cleats, that's usually a good giveaway. But also, don't just check your cleats, check your pedals as well, especially if you're running Shimano and Look. Or, Speedplay we'll get onto. But, if you can see the kind of like the spring-loaded mechanism at the back is starting to get worn, i.e. there's a groove or a divot in that kind of interface where the cleat clips into the back of the pedal, or likewise at the front where the lip is at the front of the cleat and into the front of the pedal, if that's starting to wear as well, then it might actually be the case that you not only need to replace your cleats, you might actually need to replace your pedals as well. Yeah. So checking cleats is one part of the equation. You should do that regularly, not only for wear, but also for alignment, because if you clip out on one side more than the other, you might loosen the bolts, and that can cause like misalignment of the cleats. But also wear on the pedals is something to be aware of as well, and you should check that periodically also, as well as your cleats.
Yeah, you mentioned speed plate pedals as well. They tend to, so the mechanism is slightly different, where the cleat is essentially the mechanism that clips into the pedal body, rather than having the clip-in mechanism being in the pedal body itself. Like speed plate pedals, when they wear out, you also get some kind of rocking of the shoe at the same time. So you might feel like you're kind of washing out laterally or side to side, as well as like kind of just feeling a bit unstable.
So the way speed plate kind of what the cleat works is that there's two plates that rotate over each other, and they need to be lubricated every now and again. So yeah, making sure that those plates can rotate across each other to make sure you do have float that you have kind of set the cleats to is important as well.
Yeah. And I'd say that Shimano mountain bike pedals also you need to pay attention to. I think people get a little bit...
forever.
That's exactly... Well, this is it. Like, everyone thinks, well, like the cleats are metal, they'll last forever. You know, you've got a treaded shoe where the cleat sits into the recess of the tread, and so it's less exposed. You know, anyone who rides a road shoe knows that about 10 walks to the cafe and your cleat's done because you just mashed it on the cafe tarmac or whatever. Whereas a mountain bike shoe, you know, you can walk around. It's designed to be a little bit more durable, but they still wear out, and quite often it'll be the shoe that wears first, because the tread wears out. Then that exposes the cleat, and then the cleat wears out after that. And as you were saying, Matt, the front of the cleat will become more curved, and so you lose that solid connection with the pedal itself.
You get a telltale sign if you're walking around in your mountain bike shoes and you're hearing the metal of the cleat hit the ground
crunch,
a lot.
crunch,
And then if you look at the bottom of your shoe and you can't read the writing on the cleat, it's time to change the cleats. You can't tell what the cleat is. It's time to change cleats.
What about the inside of the shoe? Anything there? Like, say, if you've got insoles, wedges, and other things, you know, they could compress.
Yeah, I think everything on your bike essentially is a wear item, like from insoles, wedges,
anything
your shoes,
that has movement, put pressure on.
Your saddle. The saddle is a wear item. Saddles will wear out. Handlebars, handlebar tape, hood grip.
Seen some skew-if saddles lately.
Oh, all the time. Yeah, we've seen some saddles are kind of bent to one side under the weight of...
ISMs are bad for that.
Yeah.
Got a droopy prong.
Yeah. Even just some saddles will kind of crack as well. The shell itself has had enough compression.
Some of them make a little bit of noise because they start to unglue themselves from the...
That's good too. Actually, the pedal noise, if you hear some creaking or squeaking from your pedals, that's usually a sign.
Especially if you've got Look Keo blades. Probably not your bottom bracket, it's probably your pedals.
So good time to be checking your equipment.
And especially if you're riding outside in the winter, where conditions are more harsh on your bike, you need to check your equipment a little more often.
Yeah. And actually, another great benefit of checking your equipment and just scraping out some of the mud and loosening off some bolts is to make sure your bolts don't get seized. So we do get people coming in with shoes which have been very well worn, and the cleats are pretty much melded to the shoe.
10-year-old speed player cleats.
Yeah. And we have to drill the bolts out.
Good practice to loosen off your bolts and shorten
So check your equipment, guys. Great tip from Bryan. Thanks for listening, and tune in tomorrow for another bike fit tip from the Cycling Demystified 12 Days of Bike Fitting. If you've enjoyed what you've heard or found any of the information has made a difference for your riding, we would be super grateful if you could do two things. Firstly, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star rating or review, as this really helps other riders find our podcast and access the same useful information you've been enjoying. Secondly, tell your friends on the next group ride to give us a listen. The more you can spread the word, the more riders can find a better ride. Thanks again, and catch you on the next one.
Suffering from numb hands, tingling toes, and any other persistent discomforts when you ride? These are all signs that your bike fit could be improved. If you're bike fit curious, get in touch with Way or Matt by emailing info@foundation.fit or finding them on Instagram @FDN_bikefit. Finally, for all your bike servicing needs, custom dream bike or hand-built wheels, go to www.frequencycycleworks.com or find me on Instagram @frequencycycleworks. Until next time, keep on spinning.